Have you ever noticed that people tend to make the same financial mistakes repeatedly? And for some reason, I'm sure that you, watching this video, believe you're immune to them. Our brains struggle to admit their own logical fallacies, which is why we all unknowingly follow the same unconscious patterns, especially when it comes to money. Money is deeply connected to psychology. Recognizing that you're not immune is the first step to improving your financial situation. So, how can we avoid behaving like monkeys? In this video, we'll briefly cover the main financial mistakes we all make and practical tips to avoid falling into these mental traps. Make sure to stay until the end, as the last 2 points are the most shocking. Number 1, the mental accounting trap. What is mental accounting? It's a concept introduced by behavioral economist Richard Thaler. It describes how we tend to divide money into different categories, treating it differently depending on where it comes from or where it's going. For example, you might be very careful with your monthly salary, setting aside a nice sum for future projects. But what happens when you receive an unexpected bonus or win the lottery? It's easy to feel justified in spending more freely, as if that money were a gift. This is mental accounting bias at work. But why do we do this? The answer lies in our minds. Money isn't just a means of payment, it also carries emotional value. Money earned through hard work makes us feel more responsible, while unexpected money gives us a sense of luck that pushes us to spend it differently. But it doesn't end there. Mental accounting can also affect us when we invest. We might be more willing to take risks with easy money than with hard-earned savings, increasing the likelihood of losses. How can we avoid this trap? The key is to treat every euro the same, regardless of its source. We must always consider our complete financial picture without letting labels influence us. Another way to combat mental accounting is to create a detailed budget that includes all income sources and expenses. This way, we avoid treating different types of money differently. Remember, every euro has the same value and deserves the same attention. Start seeing money not as separate categories, but as one large whole. Number 2, investing is crucial for growing wealth. It's not just about accumulating money, but about making it work for us, growing over time. Wise investing can lead to greater financial security and a more stable life. Yet many people are afraid of investing. This fear can be paralyzing, preventing many from taking the first step toward investing. The fear of losing money can be so strong that it outweighs the desire to gain. While this fear is understandable, it can be a significant obstacle to financial well-being. Fear can lead us to make financial decisions based on emotion rather than logic, which can have negative long-term consequences. But what are the psychological roots of this fear? Why are we so reluctant to invest despite the potential benefits? Evolutionarily, we are accustomed to decoding the world from a perspective of imminent scarcity. The fear of losing money can be so intense that we avoid investments altogether. This phenomenon is known as loss aversion. Studies show that people feel the pain of a loss twice as strongly as the joy of an equivalent gain. This means the fear of losing $100 is much stronger than the joy of gaining $100. This loss aversion makes us wary of investments, as we focus on the negatives rather than the positives. The solution is to recognize that our conservative decisions are often the result of our evolutionary legacy. We must get used to going against our instincts, stepping out of our comfort zone, and taking controlled risks. Number 3, have you ever noticed how, in certain situations, we tend to act like sheep, especially when it comes to investments? This phenomenon is called the herd effect, or social proof. Essentially, it leads us to imitate the actions of a larger group, even when they are not the most logical or optimal. When we see many people making a certain choice, we automatically think it's the right one. This can heavily influence our financial decisions. For example, if we see many investors buying a particular stock, we may feel compelled to do the same, thinking, if everyone is doing it, it must be a good idea. Unfortunately, this attitude can lead to impulsive and poorly thought-out decisions. In financial markets, the herd effect can be especially dangerous. Emotions and mass reactions can create speculative bubbles and sudden crashes. Think about what happens during panic selling, those moments of panic selling that occur during economic crises. When many people start selling out of fear, others follow suit, amplifying the market collapse. But why are we so inclined to follow the herd? One reason is that, as humans, we seek security in collective decisions. We think that by following others, we reduce the risk of making a mistake. However, this often leads us to ignore our personal analysis and insights. To mitigate the herd effect, it's essential to develop an independent mindset and base our financial decisions on solid data and thorough analysis. We should do our own research, consult experts, and consider various sources before making any investment decision. Finally, we've arrived at the last two, most unexpected points in this video. Fourth, seeing what we want to see. We like to think we are rational, making decisions based on logic and evidence. However, reality is often different. Our brain takes mental shortcuts to save energy and time. These shortcuts, known as heuristics, can be helpful, but in financial decisions, they can lead us astray. We often fall prey to cognitive biases, systematic distortions in our thinking. One of the most common biases is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is our tendency to seek out and remember information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. We give more weight to information that aligns with our worldview and ignore information that contradicts it. For example, if we believe a company is a good investment, we'll look for positive news about it and ignore criticisms. This bias can lead to decisions based on a distorted view of reality. Imagine you want to invest in a particular stock. Because of confirmation bias, you'll seek out articles that praise the company. You might dismiss negative reviews as outliers without considering important information. This selective gathering of information can lead to poor investment decisions. We end up with a distorted view of reality, blinded by our own biases. But by being aware of this, we can take steps to mitigate its influence. Awareness is the first step. We can seek out different perspectives, reading articles and listening to opinions that challenge our beliefs. And now, let's move on to the most unknown and least discussed bias online. Number 5. The sunk cost fallacy. This bias revolves around our tendency to continue investing in a decision based on the cumulative previous investment of time, money, or resources, even when it no longer seems rational to do so. Imagine you've invested a considerable amount of money in a business venture. Despite ongoing losses and signs that the company has little chance of success, you continue pouring money into it, hoping to recover the initial investment. This is the sunk cost fallacy in action. The rational decision would be to evaluate the current situation and future prospects without considering past investments. However, emotional attachment to already spent resources often clouds our judgment. The sunk cost fallacy isn't limited to financial investments. It can also manifest in our personal lives, such as staying in a relationship that isn't working because of the time already invested, or continuing a work project despite clear evidence that it won't succeed. To combat this bias, it's essential to recognize when you're falling into its trap. Remember that past investments are lost and cannot be recovered. Focus on the future benefits and costs of your decisions. Seek advice from impartial third parties who can provide a fresh perspective. By recognizing the sunk cost fallacy and actively working to avoid it, you can make more rational and effective financial decisions. This awareness can help you cut your losses and redirect your resources toward more promising opportunities. Earlier, I mentioned the importance of investing as a tool for overcoming our biases. However, investing can be a complex choice if you don't know the right strategies. So keep watching the next video on the screen, where we delve into the best investment strategies to profit in any market scenario.